If anyone thinks that motor vehicles are imported into Russia mainly from abroad, that is far from the truth. Autostat has done the math. Production growth last year was 33%, exceeding 1 million units. That includes both passenger cars and trucks. Coming up, we'll tell you how companies are developing that are connected in one way or another to transportation. And here is our first story. For over 70 years, hydrofoils from this Nizhny Novgorod shipyard have set the standard for river aviation. The West tried to copy them, of course, but as they say, it just wasn't the same. But now the demand, primarily in Russia, for Valdai and Meteor vessels is huge. The history is rich. Over 70+ years, the Design Bureau has built more than 8,000 ships and boats. The famous Ekranoplans also flew out of these workshops, as did hovercrafts and, of course, hydrofoils. Having survived crises, Soviet traditions have been revived, but with a modern twist. The main feature of modern vessels is the electronic bridge systems with elements of artificial intelligence, basically an autopilot. And today we plan to develop our river vessels in this direction. That is tomorrow. But what about today? Project 1. The Valdai, a hydrofoil for 45 passengers. 18 are in service. 2 more are coming. And Valdai works beyond just Nizhny Novgorod, from Khanty-Mansisk to Tatarstan, from Samara and Rostov to Chuvashia and Yakutia. In Yakutia, Valdai-type vessels manage to cover almost 700 kilometers during the daylight hours, which are long there in summer. Exactly what Russia's largest region needs. Of course, at speeds of up to 70 km/h, the hydrofoil creates almost no waves to erode the shoreline. All this applies to the Valdai's big brother, the Meteor. The Meteor is for inter-regional transport, long-distance travel, increased comfort, wide seats, wide aisles. Basically, a wide-body airliner. The shipyard also makes hydrofoil boats and 2 types of hovercraft that can navigate rivers without equipment or infrastructure. For distant settlements and beach landings. Aggressive Sanctions, of course, tried to run this whole flotilla aground, but unsuccessfully. After all, look at the Design Bureau's wind tunnel. They've tested for everything. The ship's engines were replaced with friendly ones. Bench tests for our domestic engine are coming up. Around 2026, we will be able to equip our ships with domestic engines. The staff has already grown by 20%. They work with schools to train staff. We secured the support of the Ministry of Industry and Trade. And it is very important that this work continues. And of course, in addition to this, we are doing a lot to automate production and increase labor productivity, because we understand that these processes are very interconnected. You can't just work on the educational process. It must run parallel to and interconnected with the work on increasing efficiency and labor productivity. Robotization, automation, and building new manufacturing and business processes within individual enterprises and in connection with other participants of our economic sector will help us here. And the plans? You have a contract for 2 years ahead, right? Even 3. Plans are now for 3 years ahead. A very large development program is being conducted by the Ministry of Industry and Trade under the auspices of the State Duma. It is the Volga project, equipping Volga ports with high-speed vessels. We plan big things for Meteors. Under the preferential leasing program via the State Transport Leasing Company, 11 are currently under construction. Moreover, there are as many as 14 new projects. Mid-sized vessels, vessels with hybrid engines. They are even considering producing ekranoplans again. But for all this, floor space needs to expand. We prepared the project today. It is already at the final approval stage with the Nizhny Novgorod Region Industry Development Fund. With funding, we will significantly boost capacity, because there are a lot of requests from customers. The Nizhny Novgorod region alone cannot satisfy its own demand. We are ready to take more than they can produce. How can that be? Well, this is where we start discussing the issue of investment opportunities, including the capital market. I hope these decisions will be made and production will be expanded. By the way, speaking of Nizhny Novgorod and modern transport, the city is updating its trams. They are called Minin. VEB supported the delivery of 77 units. The chairman of the State Development Corporation, Igor Shuvalov, decided to see the new product in action. The tram is more comfortable and faster than its predecessors. The tram is big. For the modernization of the city's tram network, that's 170 new trams by 2026, track replacement and substation reconstruction, VEB.RF provided over 5 billion rubles, including a tranche from the National Welfare Fund. In general, the state corporation has 7 projects in the region worth 335.5 billion, the general purpose of which is improving quality of life and supporting enterprises in all spheres: energy, utilities, industry and exports. We looked at brands born in Nizhny Novgorod. In this federal race for the best product on the shelf for our consumers, including modern IT platforms, I hope those who showed us their products today will be able to sell them on foreign-friendly markets with the help of the Russian Export Center and our export tools.
Экспортных инструментов свою продукцию на зарубежных дружественных рынках.
Over its history, beginning in the 1940s, this Kazan helicopter plant has produced more than 12,000 rotorcraft. They work all over the world. They are producing new models, of course. Due to certain circumstances, they had to replace imported parts. We will tell you how that is happening right now. The Kazan helicopter plant celebrates an anniversary this year, 85 years. Today, the enterprise is part of the Russian Helicopters of Rostec State Corporation. Rich experience is embodied in products for any request. To fly further, carry more cargo, take more people. That is exactly what we do. To fly further sounds very poetic for a helicopter plant. Exactly. For example, here is the heavy-class helicopter, the Mi-38. Lifting 5 tons of cargo into the air is no problem for it. The specs are better than competitors, and it is reliable, a trademark of Russian machinery known all over the world. Interestingly, they work in the toughest conditions. They can work in unbearable heat. Our temperature range is colossal, from -50 to +50. And here is the Mi-8, slightly smaller than the 38. It's not only long since import substituted, but becoming more modern. Specifically the MTV-1 version, which means modified transport, high altitude. Only the external look remains. Inside, it is all new avionics. The power plant. It is all modern, meeting the latest aviation requirements. So yes, we can be proud of this helicopter. As for the Ansat, it's a light helicopter. It will soon feature blades with an improved aerodynamic layout, and Rostec's UEC has created a new engine. This year, we are planning the flight certification test program. We are fully substituting imports. The whole issue was that the power plant was imported. It was Canadian. We have switched to Klimov from St. Petersburg, so the main task is to fly with the new engine, so the helicopter can prove itself. And of course, helicopters can be made with a VIP cabin, or for rescue, fire, or medical use. We have about 40 helicopters in air ambulance service. Today, that is probably the main purpose of helicopters, because they are easy to maintain and allow access to hard-to-reach regions. Equipment modernization is in full swing, and new workshops are being built. And to train personnel, they opened a production and training center for the Russian Helicopters Holding of Rostec State Corporation on site. We can train up to 3,500 people a year in 8 directions, and we have a program developed for 38 professions. 70% of study time is practice. The guys master professions that are in high demand now. For example, CNC machine operator. Plus, we also give the guys here drafting and engineering graphics. Subjects that have, let's say, disappeared from the school curriculum. And from the 3rd year, students begin to work. And they also train flight crews. Staff are worth their weight in gold. The plant has orders for years, including for export. Volumes are growing. The equipment is in demand, including the foreign market. We have a number of friendly countries that need our equipment. More on that a little later. But now, another story from the world of transport, without which it would be difficult to develop industry in our vast expanses. Let's head to the Kurgan region. The fact that in Russia, where often instead of roads there are only directions, where, so to speak, wolves fear to tread, they know how to make all-terrain vehicles, is generally known. The question is in the details. This Kurgan enterprise tries to manufacture products that provide human comfort in inhuman conditions.
Которая обеспечивает человеческий комфорт в нечеловеческих условиях.
Well, let's go. Before the ATVs go to conquer the off-road, it all starts, of course, with design. And then parts are born in the fire of the foundry. And not just for ATVs. There are third-party customers too. Here we see the suspension, for example, of a Ural truck. Famous. We cast part of this suspension, and then the factory does the machining and installation on the vehicle. I can tell you, for instance, the bucket teeth cast in our enterprise are used for quarry excavators. What can these ATVs do? The heavy machine is amphibious, and with an additional cargo of 4 tons. On land, the giant protects, for example, the fragile vegetation of the tundra, which takes years to regenerate. Pay attention to the tracks. These tracks are made so that we have low ground pressure, allowing the ATV not to sink in swamps. And accordingly, to create a water flow to move through the water. The endurance of the machines has been proven by all sorts of tests. This machine took part in the Safe Arctic expedition. It's a run by the Russian Emergencies Ministry, and the machines performed very well. Rescuers use the ATV, where an SUV has no chance of reaching those who need help. They work in Pevek, they work in Murmansk. Machines work in Arkhangelsk, machines work in Vorkuta. These machines are ready for shipment to Yakutsk. They are ordered by oil and gas workers who service pipelines and work at remote fields. Moreover, you can install top equipment for any request. This vehicle has a manipulator crane installed. On the second vehicle, a residential module is installed, where you can live autonomously. That is, stop in off-road conditions, spend the night and move on. Clearly, the ATV building business doesn't stand still. Designs are being improved, new models are planned, new specialists will bring these ideas to life. We train them ourselves. We have a mentorship system at the enterprise. Just last week, we opened a training center at the plant. New, renovated with good conditions. For the Kurgan region, the labor shortage issue was always very relevant. Previously, the region was considered, so to speak, depressed. People left. Now the trend has been reversed. Industry is developing again, and specialists are needed again. The solution isn't migrants, it's adjusting personnel training. That is the vocational education system. We started doing this 5 years ago. And all institutions training staff for the real sector of the economy were subjected to a very specific analysis and adjustment of their educational programs. They don't train lawyers, economists, accountants, or managers there now. They train personnel for the real sector of the economy. It is important that study programs are modern. After all, opportunities have opened up in the country to create things not produced before. And this is, of course, a challenge, especially regarding transport. For example, the history of domestic luxury cars could well have ended with the Soviet Chaikas. In ordinary cars, when telling a story, it is customary to sit behind the wheel. But here, nope, only in the back seat. Yes, I certainly understand the top officials of the Russian state. It is luxurious in the Aurus. And by the way, it's not just for Russian passengers. Who is ready to buy our premium car? And how automobile production is organized in Tatarstan? We will tell you right now. Well then, to the Kremlin. Aurus is the country's first luxury brand, the official car of the President of Russia. Development began in 2013 by order of the Ministry of Industry and Trade. For the factory, the Alabuga Special Economic Zone in Tatarstan was chosen for serial production. There is convenient infrastructure, logistics, and tax preferences. Production was mastered in just 2 years. Record times for the auto industry. In 2021, the Senate rolled off the assembly line. That's the sedan. And a year later, the Commandant SUV. If anyone thought they managed to set up production quickly because Aurus is simply assembled from foreign parts, that is not the case at all. More than 70% of component suppliers are domestic. That's over 200 enterprises. Let's look under the hood. Complex casting for the 598 horsepower V8 engines is produced by KAMAZ, one of the key industrial partners. Body elements are stamped at Magnitka. Two-tone body painting is used for the first time in Russia. The transmission, interior, and electronics are ours. And here is an enterprise in the Nizhny Novgorod region producing wiring harnesses, the nervous system of the car. Yes, this is a highly complex technical product. A product can include, as in this example, over 5,000 different components. Very high combinatorics. Our enterprise works with dozens of different clients. Each client has hundreds of items. Each 100 items With such a large quantity, our production is very complex. Of course, the enterprise supplies the whole auto industry, and demand grows by 15% annually. At the moment, we produce over 1,000 product types for dozens of companies. Rostselmash alone has about 400 items that we make constantly.
Также вот, например, у Россельмаша порядка 400 номенклатур, которые мы делаем в постоянном режиме.
It turns out that creating a new luxury car, the valuable developments, technologies and competencies helps many companies in related industries develop and create jobs. Production is, of course, automated. Here's an example. Imagine if a heavy engine had to be moved by hand or on a cart or something. But here, a robot works hard. It can handle it. And an interesting point, it moves quite quietly, so to make it audible, it plays music. There are the latest IT systems for product quality control. Buyers can even come and see how the car is produced. The concept here is a glass factory. Clients are sent photo reports of how their order is being born. There is much interest abroad, like the UAE. By the way, in the last 5 years, they have entered the list of leaders in Russia's foreign trade turnover in the Middle East. So, despite the efforts of some unfriendly countries, what is made in Russia is in demand on international markets. And the list of what our business is ready to offer is only growing, especially since goods are in demand at home, including in transport. There are either fewer imports or none at all left in locomotives, the metro, trucks, and the products we just told you about.
Только что рассказали.